folks. Thanks for stopping by. This will be my review of The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. I intended to get this done quite a few days ago, but some things took priority, and unfortunately this little side project of mine had to be put aside for the time being. But I am here now, and without going too much into detail, I'll probably be staying around for a while. So, this was my pick for the book club that's consisting of a few YouTubers here. I know Angel on My Shoulder has already done a review of it, and her review was very good. I watched it a little while ago, and she does not go into many details and spoilers, so I think I also will refrain from doing so. I will talk about this book in its most basic form and try not to spoil anything too important. First, there are a few things about this book that I wasn't super fond of. And that is the fact that it is written all in first person. I don't typically like books written in first person, and this one it also has multiple perspectives, which is another thing I don't really like. There are 3 of them in this book. I usually don't try to read books like that. At first I didn't really realize we kept switching back and forth. So the first 2 chapters or so I got a little frustrated trying to figure out what was happening, because we jumped back in time to like the 1920s and then forward into modern times for 2 of the other characters. So, with that being said, I found that both of the shifting perspectives and the first person worked remarkably well for this book. I actually really enjoyed reading it. I devoured it. I read through it within a few days. I'm usually a pretty fast reader, so that's not surprising, but I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys will give it a look too. So, the story follows Opaline, Martha, and Henry on their various journeys. Opaline is a young woman in the 1920s that is very unconventional and is desperately trying to escape an arranged marriage set up by her truly terrible brother. She escapes and runs off to France to be a book dealer with no experience, just a head full of dreams and a little money and a deep burning desire to do more than just be someone's wife. And the story follows her as she loves and loses and struggles and triumphs, and eventually finds her place in the world that's greater than she ever could have imagined. And she struggles, as do all 3 of the characters. She has some dark times, and the book does not shy away from talking about them. This feels somewhat like a book of women's friendships and women's stories and women's struggles, even though there is a male main character. It felt very female-based, which I liked. It did not, like I said, it did not avoid the worst parts of being a woman in the 1920s. it definitely gave a very frank view of how a woman of her status would have been treated, and I appreciate that. It's a very good book, and all three stories tie together at the end, even though Opaline is from the 20s and the other two, Martha and Henry, are from modern day. Next, you have Martha, who is outrunning a past that is frightening and threatening, and she takes up residence with this older woman and agrees to be her housekeeper. And they form a friendship that truly proves to be beneficial later. So not only are you crossing ages, you're crossing status and making friends out of very unlikely people. And I think that's also a really good part of the story, these interlocking and interwoven friendships like that. It's an interesting way to help Martha along. She wants better for herself than what she has, but she almost has a phobia of books. She doesn't like them, she doesn't like to read, and she struggles with her perceived intelligence and how she thinks other people would look at her, especially in a library or a place of learning. And the story of her life is revealed in various ways, and you get a picture of a very heartbroken young woman who is just trying to do her best, and she struggles and she triumphs and she has help and she falls in love, and it's quite good. I think I might enjoy her story the most of all, because I think I identify a little bit with feeling a bit intimidated by more intelligence and struggling to sort of find a place in the world. The third character is Henry. He is a scholar outrunning his past, I guess you could say. Henry is engaged to be married, but you almost immediately get the sense that she is not meant for him, and that they are grasping at sort of straws and trying very hard for something that, well, not trying that hard, trying somewhat hard for something that never will be. And he meets Margaret on his search for the Lost Bookshop, which doesn't exist, shouldn't exist, has never existed, but he knows it exists because he was there. At one point, for one glorious moment, he was there, and he's been chasing that for the entirety of his career since. I think he proves to be a very good supporting character for Martha. I think he helps her in ways she needs to be helped, in ways that proves to her that she's not stupid, that she's capable, and that she is a character and a person that can be intelligent, that is intelligent, that intelligence comes in many ways, not just through books in the library, and he helps her overcome some of that. And there's a bit of romance, which is very, very fun, but he is tied down back at home, so there's conflict there because he knows he has a fiancée and he feels somewhat guilty about it, and seems to feel guilty about jetting off to a different country to search for a bookshop. that he's not even sure exists. All in all, this story is very beautiful, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, even with, like I said, the drawbacks that I had with it. I think this is one worth reading. If you have read it, in the comments, please let me know. I'd love to see how that went for you guys. If you haven't, check it out. Give it a preview. I think this is one worth reading. It definitely highlights some pain and some discomfort. There are moments of all of the negatives of tension and discomfort and discord and fear and sadness. All of those things come up, but they're portrayed in a way that is both sensitive but also matter of fact. And I think the author has a very interesting way of showing you that, yes, these characters are going to suffer, but it's not suffering for suffering's sake. I feel like quite a few books just torture their characters for seemingly no reason. There doesn't seem to be any plot relevance to how much they suffer. They just go on and on and on and on and get tormented, and I kind of hate that, because if the only way of causing conflict you can think of is tormenting your characters with just random acts of nonsense, then I think that's not very interesting. All of the suffering in this book seems to happen for a reason, and I don't mean that in the way of God has made these things happen. I just mean they propel the plot in some way, and they cause development, and they cause interest. And I think it is quite an interesting book for people to read, and I think you should really give this one a try. Please let me know how you feel about it. Sorry this video is a little short. I just really wanted to talk about this book. I hope you have a great evening, and thank you as always for stopping by. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.